Good evening, and welcome to another episode of The Best Is Yet to Come. I am your girl, Steph, and as usual, we have another awesome show for you this evening. As you know, our platform is to empower, to educate, and to be a source of resources for our audience. And what better way to provide that is by sharing others' wisdom through their journeys. So tonight, once again, we have a very special guest for you. His name is Joseph Bennett. Welcome.
Thank you for having me.
Yes. Okay. Before Mr. Bennett tells his story, I want you to think about something. Can you imagine life in your early 20s being snatched away 22 years of your life? Think about that for a moment before we continue. I can't imagine that. There are so many people in our country have been wrongfully convicted of things that they did not do. I don't have the percentage and numbers for you right now, but you can do the research yourself and you will find that it happens every day. Not only in our country, but in the state that we live in. Unfortunately, my guest tonight can tell you more about his story. He encountered that. But one thing I must say, he's a living testimony that once God's hand is on your life, can't nothing stop his plan. So welcome, Mr. Bennett.
Thank you for having me.
Yes. So where do we begin?
Wherever you pleasure.
Okay. Tell us about that, because I have an 18-year-old son, and I often share with him about, what my topics are, who my guests are. And one day I hope that you get a chance to meet him. And we was actually talking about you, and I was sharing, some of your story with him. And my thing was, I wondered if you were bitter, how did you deal with that? I mean, we take life for granted, the simple things, being able to hug a loved one, being able to hang out with friends. You were 22 years old when this happened to you.
Yes, I was.
So tell your story, please.
Well, to answer your question, I was bitter initially, but once I was released, I felt blessed.
Okay.
I was happy, excited, ecstatic, everything you can imagine. What went on in my life, like you said, it happens to a lot of black men in the city that can't, there was a no snitching policy back in the day. So, some people would put you in jail that knew you wasn't supposed to be in jail, and for their own selfish reasons. Mm-hmm. And, there's a lot of us that were sitting behind that wall that was a product of a corrupt Suffolk County system.
Okay.
And unfortunately, I had to sit down for 22 years to realize that there was more to my life than, where I was sitting at.
Okay.
And that's what kept me resilient and kept me focused on trying to get released and trying to prove my innocence. I had a situation where I went in front of a parole board because I was serving 15 to life, but with 18 to 20 to serve also. And when I went in front of the parole board, they told me that I wasn't ready for prison, the streets, society, and that was in 2016. So they told me to come back and see them at 2021, and I told them in 2021 I won't be here.
Good.
Good. I was working too hard not to still continue on in prison. I was trying to prove my innocence, and by the grace of God, I had a judge that actually was willing to open his eyes to all the things that we pointed out in the case that he's seen that some other judges overlooked and chose not to act on. But this judge, he actually knew there was an injustice and set me free on April 30th of 2019.
Wow, that's awesome. Now, you just said that you went before parole board prior to your release in 2019. Mm-hmm. And you were told that you were not ready for the streets. Now, do you know why they felt that?
Well, they when you go to the parole board, they they judge you for your institutional record. They don't really judge you for your supporting cast and the people that you have and the ideas that you have and the things that you have, your plans in place, your aspirations, your goals, everything. They judge you on your whatever you've done in prison. So at the time, I was, one of the guys that was in trouble more than not.
Okay.
I will admit that. So my institutional record was not the greatest.
Okay.
So when I sat in front of them, I explained to them that, no matter, here it is, 2016, but y'all judging me on something from 99, 2000, and 2005 and things of that nature. So I told him that the paper doesn't change. It's never going to change.
Right.
It's always going to say the same thing, and no matter how many times you look at it, for how many years you look at it. But if you don't view me and allow me to convince y'all that I shouldn't be here, then I don't know what to say. I'm just here for the experience then.
Right, right. I mean, because clearly you were the age 22, correct?
I was, yes, 2 weeks
Okay.
before my 23rd birthday.
Wow.
Yeah, January 16th.
Wow. So 22-year-old young man opposed to a man that you were when in 2019. That's a big difference. But they still wanted to judge you on that 22-year-old young man.
Yes, very
Wow.
much so.
Wow.
Very much so. I mean, it's a unjust system, unfair system, and they're letting a lot of guys out on parole now due to COVID for more COVID reasons than allow guys to continue to die in prison that have a shot to actually, change their lives.
Mm-hmm.
And the justice system, the Suffolk County, letting people out more as they take closer looks at people's cases and review cases nowadays from those 1990 eras where, there was a certain district attorney office that had corruption as police officers and, in the office of everywhere. So, now that they're able to review some of the cases before Rachel Rollins left, they're allowing more men to have their appeal heard and be released more. And like I said, thankfully, I had a judge that was able to do that for me.
Great, great. Let's talk about some of the things that you missed out on. How was that? How was that for your support team at home?
When I went in, I had a 4-year-old daughter, and I had a daughter that was 4 months in her mother's womb.
Wow.
So I missed all of their life, most of it,
Right.
and but on the flip side of that, I'm sitting in front of you
That's right.
because I know back in those days I wouldn't be here.
Okay.
They'd be visiting me because all my friends are dead, So I tell people sometimes, I question God why he sat me down. I just said, why you have to make me sit that long?
Right.
But I realized why he made me sit that long because I wasn't ready,
Okay.
And I know if I wasn't in that situation, if I wasn't incarcerated, I would most likely have been killed,
Okay.
So those are the things I hold on to, and that's where I say I try not to be so bitter,
Okay.
and my family, they were there for me the best way they could,
Okay. Right.
They're the best way they could. I mean, as years go on, people start to live their lives, regardless if it's your family or not. They have
Right.
to continue on with their life. They going on, because I tell people I had to grow up in prison.
Right.
You know.
Now, how was that? Let's talk about that.
It was an experience.
Okay.
It was an experience. I mean, for the first, I want to say 7, 8 years, I probably was still street orientated. So I was getting into the fights, getting into situations, and things like that. And then I want to say probably in the middle of the sentence, I had slowed down. I started figuring it out wow, because I kept seeing people come in and out, come in and
Okay.
out, come in and out. So I'm like, man, I don't understand it.
Right.
And, they would come in and say this one thing to me all the time, like, yo, you ain't missing nothing out there. And I used to be like, I don't know what you talking about.
Right.
I'm missing a lot.
Right.
Y'all might, because you keep saying that because you coming in and out.
Right.
So you have, you don't have none of that. But it also gave me time to reflect and put together a plan that I came out here to implement and put it together, and it's coming together slowly but surely.
Okay, let's talk about that because I know you do a lot in the community.
Yes, I do.
Okay, let's talk about your
Yard time?
business. Yes, let's talk about Yard Time. Where did you get that name, first of all?
The yards.
Okay.
So, in prison, it's hard to find joy other than a visit and a phone call. So, if I don't get, if I don't get a visit, it's not visiting day, and I can't get through to nobody on the phone. Once the CO yell yard time, that was the joy. I put my music on, I go
Okay.
outside, I walk the yard, I dance around in the yard,
Okay.
get my mind right in the yard. So, it was only right that I had to come out here and use it as an inspiration,
Okay.
because that's where I seeked it at. I found it in the yard. Like
Okay.
when the CO yelled it, it was joy to me. Like, okay, these doors is about to open. I'm about to go outside. Sometimes it was winter, snow time, snow. I didn't care. I was out there because, sitting in them cells was causing a lot of mental stress that I didn't know at the time.
Right.
I do now as a grown man and doing the things that I'm doing.
Right.
So when I had to get that joy, that pleasure, if I couldn't get that visit or that phone call, that yard was that next thing to give it to me.
Okay. All right.
So, that's hence the word yard time. So my boys used to always be like, what is a yard time entertainment? Because I used to dance around the yard. People used to laugh at me and be like, so it's not a entertainment company per se. It's just,
Right.
you can see anything in the yard. When you go through the fence and they lock the doors, you might see fights, people playing basketball. So you just find out where your entertainment comes in at. And mine came in just putting on my music and just walking the track and just, just vibing out, dancing around, trying to learn the newest dance. So when I
Okay.
came home, I wasn't still doing them old dances.
Right. Right. Okay. So tell us more about your business and what you do.
Well, we're a nonprofit 501c3, and I'm a community liaison. I don't like to say activist,
Okay.
because I know that's a title that is a lot more bestowed upon people that are doing more things than I am. I'm just a little vessel. I'm not the big vessel yet. More
I
to
would
come.
like, I beg to, sorry for cutting you off, but I beg to differ with you. I mean, things that I know of you doing, like number one, I thought it was just awesome. The mental health men's group.
Yes.
That has been something that has been on my heart for some time. When I learned that you were doing it, I thought that was the best thing ever.
Yeah, the mental health men's group came about because a couple of my friends used to call me and say, like, that were being released, like, yo, how are you adapting out here? Like, yo, you're adapting so easily, things like that. And I used to tell them, like, I used to have this thing where I used to call my daughters, my sister, and they used to keep me like current. So when I got out here, I felt like the only thing I wasn't prepared for was technology. Everything else I was gonna adjust to.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? And I tell them I don't adapt because I haven't adapted. I've adjusted,
Okay.
because it's a struggle.
Okay.
And some of the ones that can't seem to adjust are getting returned back to prison after 25 years. They're going back in 6 months and a year. And I almost fell into the pitfalls. Like I said, I got out April of 2019, December of 2019. I went back for 90 days, for something that had nothing to do with it again. But because of my reputation inside the prison, I was lumped into an investigation and it proved to be I didn't have no involvement and was dismissed. But,
Okay.
when they put me back, I was like, wow, look at how easy it is for them to just lock me back up.
Right.
And thankfully, it was only 90 days. Thankfully.
Right.
Because it gave me a fresh start,
Okay.
something fresh to think about. And when I got out in March of 2020, it was like, now I got to focus on this yard time thing for real, and I got to do it for real, and I got to make sure I focus on my mental health in the process, because I started mental health while I was incarcerated, while I was going through a lot. And what I was dealing with at the time, I knew that the people that were with me, they couldn't help me. And because they couldn't help me, I didn't want them to laugh at me because I was dealing with some emotional issues.
Okay.
And I seeked out a counselor because I said, this lady doesn't know me. you know, she doesn't know anything about me, but I can talk to her.
Right.
And as I talked to her, I gained a knowledge of like what was going on in my head and realized that I was dealing with a lot of trauma that I did not prepare for, wasn't ready for, ever dealt with, or any of that. So in talking to her, it opened my eyes. So when I got out here, when I got out after the 90 days, I wanted to focus on that.
Okay. Now, that's one thing. I feel that our culture has gotten better. I'm actually a mental health, I work in the mental health field, clinician, yes. And for years it has been taboo in our community, in our culture, that, you know, we don't address mental health issues. And definitely the men. I can remember once I was telling a spiritual leader of mine that I was feeling depressed. And the first thing she says to me, the devil is a liar, you know, we're going to pray that spirit away, but it's real. And as soon as we accept that it's real, more people will get help for it.
Yeah, I have a good group of guys that are formerly incarcerated, you know, and they get it. So, you know, it's they might not be able to go to some place one on one, but in a group setting of guys that could relate, you know, they have their AA groups, they have their NA groups. They don't have many mental health groups. You know, not that I see for formerly incarcerated men that look like me,
Right.
that came from where I came from.
Right.
You know, that when I say I was in Shirley Mack's in the hole and all I kept hearing was knock, 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 knock. And they be like, yo, I know what you talking about. So I want somebody that could relate.
Right.
And I know that some of us, like you said, won't go and deal with that. And the only way we think we're dealing with trauma is by picking up a gun, shooting somebody, going out there, stabbing somebody, hurting somebody, risking the rest of our lives in prison.
Right. And that just create more trauma.
And all we had to do was just say, can somebody help me? Can
Right.
somebody find a space for me to talk to somebody? In that way, I felt like I needed to do that. And
Right.
I needed to do that not just for everybody else, but for myself first and foremost.
Right. Right. Now, how many sessions have you had? Because you had two different that I'm aware of.
Yeah, so we went from December 14th to January 28th. That was one session. Now we're in the second session.
Okay.
At the end of this month, I believe we're going to start another session with another facilitator. You know, she's going to come in. A lot of black men facilitators haven't reached out. I've reached out to a lot and asked for help. It's mainly been a lot of the women facilitators, and they've been helping a lot because, you know, a lot of our mental health, you know, is based around trauma, dealing with women that's coming home and not knowing how to deal with that situation, not knowing what we dealt with in our lives while we were away.
Right.
So, and then some of them, excuse me, I'm getting choked up. Some of them,
It's okay.
some of them don't understand the fact that, you know, we go through certain things, and what we went through inside prison of, you know, the questioning and things of that nature, it takes a toll. A lot of my friends, you know, they walk away from women, you know, that done time with them because when you come home to a woman, she's expecting certain things. But what she don't realize is inside we had structure. We had structured movement, structured food time, structured visits. Everything was structured. So when we're out here, we have no structure and we're free. We want to be free. We don't want to feel like we're back into a structured environment.
Okay.
You know, and that tends to weigh heavy,
Okay.
you know, and that's why a lot of things do happen and continue to happen. And, you know, I'm a product of that.
Okay. So help me to understand, help the audience also to understand, what do you feel that support could be for someone that is coming home, that has did, you know, 5 or more years, let's say 10 or more years, or anyone, because, you know, someone...
It's different. It's different from
Right.
each individual. Like somebody could serve 10 years and go through it. Somebody could serve 6 months and go through the same
Right.
mental breakdown. Me personally, I believe housing is valuable. Because if they don't have nowhere to go, they ain't they couch hopping. Then you're dealing with people like, come on, I don't want him here. He's been here, you know. So you got to have somewhere for them to go. You got to have a bed for them, whether that's a reentry home, whether that's a home for them, apartments. You know, they need to give more guys that are coming home apartments and giving them vouchers for them to get apartments and do things like that, because it's not that most of us don't want to work. We're just not getting the opportunities to prove ourselves.
Right.
I came out here and took my opportunity. Nobody didn't give it to me.
Good.
I took it.
Right.
You know, and because I knew what I wanted to do.
Right.
You know, somebody would say, "Oh, what's your dream?" I lived my dream. That was walking out the courtroom.
Okay.
Now I'm chasing my goals and my aspirations.
Okay.
You know, because I dreamed every day that, please just let me out. Don't let me die in prison.
Right.
So when I got out, that was my dream. It was right there.
Okay.
So now everything else is just chasing. I'm chasing my goals. I'm chasing my aspirations. I'm chasing happiness.
Okay.
I'm chasing success.
Okay. All right.
At my pace.
Okay. Now, you talked about there should be housings at the end of someone's, when they have pretty much served their sentence. I know they go before the parole board. What kind of services are in the inside, like you talked about housing, that can assist someone?
Not much.
Okay.
Not much. I came out and I reached out to a lot of offices. I reached out before I even got out. I didn't even know when I was getting out, but I was preparing myself. Like I said, I knew I was getting out. I just didn't know where and when. And when I got out, I reached out to a lot of organizations that offered me bus pass.
Okay. And you were looking
offered me to live in a sober house. I'm not a drug addict. I don't have drugs on my record. I've never dealt with that. I've been a violent person most of my life.
Okay.
So I can't go in a sober house, because then that's feeling like I'm back in jail.
Okay. So what would you wish that had happened?
I wish that I have, that when I walked out of the courthouse, that after reaching out, somebody would have said, okay, here's the plan of do this, this, and this, and we'll help you get your apartment.
Okay. Okay.
You know, do this, this, and this, and we'll help you get this. That wasn't there. Thank God I had a community of family and friends after 22 years that loved me enough to put me in position that I can do a lot of things that I wanted to do on my own and uplift me. Okay. Because a lot of these organizations that get the big money didn't give me anything.
Now, what do you feel that we can do to change that?
We have to change some of the rules and we have to change some of these elected officials that are not doing the job.
And how do you say we do that?
By voting.
Okay.
By voting and holding them accountable.
I agree with you, absolutely.
Because once they get into the office, they don't do what they say they're going to do. You know, I'm dealing with that with the current mayor of the city of Boston. Supported me all through campaigning. I can't even get through. I can't even get support for our mental health group.
And what kind of support are you looking for?
Just any support. I want to take my group of formerly incarcerated men on a men's retreat.
That would be great.
You know, do something that they never done. No cell phones.
Right.
No women.
Right.
Work on us. Continue to build.
That would be great.
Yeah, but we can't find the support.
Now, where are some places have you been looking?
In the whole city of Boston.
Okay.
I can show you emails that I've sent.
Okay.
I had I won't say the agency. I had an agency reach out to me and tell me, we accepted your application to be in a design group that we're building to focus on mental health, and we want you to be a part of that design group. And I politely declined it because I got to focus on the group that I already have. Why would I want to build one for your big conglomerates to take it and not do nothing real with it and not help the guys that need the help? I know what I'm going to do. I sit with them. They hold me accountable.
Right.
If they can't reach you, they can't hold you accountable.
Right. So, if I'm understanding you correctly, you went to this particular organization for support, and instead of them supporting you,
they wanted me to be a part of a group they're about to build.
Okay. Now, I'm just curious, would this include our people?
Yeah, of course.
Okay. No, I'm saying the group that they wanted you to build.
Yeah.
Okay, all right. Have you thought about what it would cost to do this retreat?
So I have a rough draft budget. I have it in my house. It's drafted up. I just got to fix a few things. Someone stole that idea.
Okay.
But I'm okay with that.
Okay.
Teach his own. I support it, long as it's formally incarcerated, and not just people that say they was formally incarcerated.
Right.
I want everybody to win and get help that they need. But a lot of ideas that I pitch out there, people take and make it. Because they got the supporting cast. I was an outcast at one time.
Now, why do you feel that you were outcast?
Well, when I was younger, I was a problem child. I was the city of Boston. I was doing things that was causing trauma.
Okay.
And it's hard for some people to realize that I've changed. I'm 48 years old. I'm not 22. I'm not 18. I'm not 19.
Right.
I've changed. I mean, some of my ways. I have disciplines in some areas and no discipline in other areas. That's where I'm working on my mental health at.
I feel that we all are work in progress. I mean, no matter what you have accomplished in life, this is just my opinion, we will always need to continue to work on us.
I agree.
And one of my other shows, I had talked about this, about forgiveness, and it's so hard. God will forgive us every time that we ask, but our brothers and sisters.
Yeah, I hold on to certain things too. I'm very, like, some things I could let go and some things I choose to forget. I won't forgive you for it, but I'll forget.
Okay.
And by me forgetting, I just won't be around you or be near you. We don't have to deal with each other. We don't have to see each other, tolerate each other. I'm cool with that.
Okay.
And there's some people I won't forgive.
Okay.
They done things that hurt, betray, cause trauma.
Okay. Now, so you don't believe in the cliche that forgiveness is not for the other person, it's for ourselves?
One of the facilitators is teaching us that.
Okay.
I'm learning that.
Okay.
I'm learning that. I mean, I didn't care.
Okay.
So that's why I knew I would have been dead, because I was just on a one-way track to hell.
Okay.
Because I was doing things, it was never drugs involved, anything. It was just, I was violent.
Okay. Now, where do you think that stemmed from?
Just growing up in the area that I grew up in and dealing with the people that I was around and seeing the things that I was around, I always was like, I didn't want to be a victim.
Okay.
Okay.
It's funny that you say this, say that. I had this young man on one of my other shows the last season, and he talked similar to that, said he encountered something, I think he was around the age of 14, and he never said what it was, and that was okay, but he said from that point he made a decision that it would never happen to him again, or anything similar to that. So that took him down a road of destruction. Thank God that he was able to turn his life around and do differently. But I always wonder, what happens, because I always say no matter what we do, especially if it's negative or causes harm to ourselves or to others, we just don't wake up and say, okay, this is what I want to do with my life. I always feel that there was something that occurred in one's life to, make them or make us.
I mean, I had so much different things go on in my life that I just know I don't want to go back to prison.
Right.
And I know I'm a different person.
Great.
And I don't know when the change happened, but I'm glad it did. And like I said, I'm not completely. I still have discipline in other areas and no discipline in other areas, and I'm working on those.
Okay. Do you mind sharing? And you don't have to if you don't want to.
I'm an open book.
what are some of the things that, well, give us both sides, things that you feel that you're definitely disciplined in, and on the other side, things that you want to work more on?
Well, I'll start with the work more on.
Okay.
Just working on me personally first and foremost, continuing building my mental strength and continuing not to be so emotional. You know, I'm an emotional person. I deal with emotions and not taking people's words so literally. You know, I take words very literally. Like I hold on to words, you know, and that continues to like drive me and continue to make me be like, okay, this is in the bank of this is why I won't forgive you. This is why I will forget. This is why I will forget, but won't forgive you.
Okay.
And you know, those are the things I need to let go. And I work on my anger. Once I get angry, I'm angry.
Okay.
That's like big.
Now, what are some things you do to work on your anger?
I'm learning how to breathe more
Okay.
through meditation. I'm learning that. That is the biggest one. And then I'm just like, you know, I have to take my meds.
Okay. Okay.
Some people don't like it, but for me, I have to.
And you know, that's another thing in our culture. Well, I feel that we've gotten better, that it's taboo. But if if you need it and it works.
It
there's
works
no-
for me. It
Right.
works. I can't speak for everybody else. It works for me.
Right.
You know, because like I said, I'm comfortable with anger.
Okay.
Like
Okay.
that's me. I'm comfortable with anger. You know, I'm trying to get out of that.
Okay.
I'm trying to learn not to be so angry
Okay.
and be a little bit more happy and be more upbeat, you know, and trying to continue on just this journey of called life. And like I say, I loved basketball. They took the second quarter, they took the third quarter, which was my 30s. They took half of the fourth quarter. They let me out. Now it's all overtime. It's all me from here.
I like that analogy. First, I was a little lost. I'm like, wait a minute. Okay, where we going with this? But I got you. Okay.
Yeah, I love basketball.
Okay.
So,
All right.
you know,
I like that.
they took
okay.
the 20s. That's the second quarter of my
Right,
life.
okay.
You know, I've been going to jail since I was 13 years old. That was in 1987. So that was a common place for me. You know, I was in and out of DYS, in and out of DYS, you know, and then it just graduated to jail. You know, next month will be 3 years. In my 48 years, this is the longest I ever been out of prison.
Wow.
3 years.
Wow. Looking at the 48-year-old Joseph, what would you say to that 13-year-old Joseph if you could talk to him?
Go to school, get an education, learn a trade, you know, write some goals down, write some dreams down.
Let me ask you this. Do you feel that 13-year-old Joseph didn't have dreams, or did he have those dreams and just suppress them because of the environment?
I don't think, no, I didn't have them at that age.
Okay.
And that was, you know, I came from a broken home, you know, mom used drugs, dad used drugs, you know, it was all around. So I lived with my grandmother. She gave us the best love she can give us. But, you know, I had to go out there and steal cars and steal bikes and sell them just to make sure I had money for me because, you know, I wanted to be okay.
Okay.
You know, I had a younger brother. I wanted him to be okay.
Okay.
You know, so I had to take on life at 13, and that's why I kept going back and forth to jail. I kept getting into something. You know, at the time I wasn't thinking about gangs. I was just thinking about stealing and trying to make sure that I could provide. You know, I didn't care if I had to go to the store and steal out the store some food. I was doing that.
So who were you providing for yourself and your brother? or-
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. You know,
Okay.
my grandmother had, you know, my aunt's kids was living there. We was living, it was about 6 of us in the house. So,
Okay.
you know, me and my brother, it was either go live with our grandmother or we was going to DSS custody and my grandmother took custody of us.
Okay.
And, you know, thank God right now to this day, my mom's is clean, sober, doing well. I
That's
love her to death.
awesome. That's
you know.
awesome.
She sat there, she reeled it out. She always used to say, I just want to see you come home before I pass away. So when I came out the courtroom, she was there, happy to see me. you know, so things is getting better for me.
How was your relationship with your mom?
It's okay. It's
Okay.
I'm learning. I'm
Okay.
learning because you know I was I wasn't loved properly, so I don't know how to love properly. You know, and that goes down to me and my daughters right now. So, you
Okay.
know, and but you know, of course, I love my mom. She's my mom, but I'm just trying to figure out like how do I not exhibit it in a material thing, but just like show her. And I'm learning that process right
Okay.
now because, like I said, I'm learning how to love me first.
Right.
You
Right.
know, before I can give it to anybody else, I got to
Right.
give it to myself.
Right. Two things I want to touch on. You're not the only man that I've heard say, I don't know how to love because I was not loved. Can you talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, I mean, I had my grandmother's love, but that was probably, you know, my family love. You know, they love you, love, but they didn't exhibit it. They didn't show it. I didn't know what it looked like.
Okay.
You know, I didn't know what it looked like. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
I just knew what a beating felt like, and when I got in trouble, and that would be love, and you know, I'm trying to keep you out of trouble, and not by beating me, you know, things
Right.
like that. So I don't know what it looked like. I don't. Some people got that in their home, and they know how to exhibit it. They know how to put it out there to the world. I
Right.
didn't.
Okay.
I only seen trauma. So as I got older, I inflicted trauma. That was what I was comfortable with.
Right. It's funny that you say that. My guest last week, she talked about that too. And I think that was just really part of our culture. Not to say that it was right, because I tell people I was raised by my grandparents, and my grandmother would have died in jail had it been today's time and I got the beatings like I got then.
Right.
And she used to say to me, I do it because I love you. And I used to say, well, don't love me.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. That's what you went through growing up in my time in my household. They give you a spanking and they
It
give you a
wasn't no
beating.
spanking.
No, it wasn't. It wasn't. You know, especially when they told you go get the extension cord, you would try to find something else or go
Right.
get that big belt, the one they shape. My grandfather used to do with his razor. That one hurt it. You know, the
Right.
big leather one. So I mean, but then I became immune to it after so many of them. It's like.
Right. Right.
You know, and then I would go outside and be like,
Right.
inflicted on someone else, and it
Right.
continued as I got older. You know, I didn't take no mess, and
Sorry about that. Sorry. I apologize, audience. Um, but you was I'm sorry that just you
I
were
said
saying.
that as I grew up, I just the trauma that I dealt with, you know, like I said, now I know it's trauma, but
Okay.
I used to call them beatings, the beatings and the things like that, the no, not having the love and things I inflicted on other people, and
Okay.
you know, I'm sorry to some of the people that I inflicted on that was not deserving of it. Then there was others that was deserving of it.
Now, have you made amends with the people that you apologized for, that you felt they didn't deserve it?
Most of them I met, and most of them I seen in prison. So
Okay.
yeah,
All
and
right.
some of them are out here now, and we say hello to each other, you know, and you know we're cordial and respectful of each other. Cause when you're in that yard, it's a different story. Like
Okay.
all you got is you, and you know some of the guys that you ran with and been with, they ain't showing up there. So you know some of the guys that you disliked on the street might become one of your closest friends in prison.
Okay.
You know, you might have then talked to them on the street, but when you got to know them, like, wow, man, you real cool, you know. And a lot of them I crossed paths with in prison, and you know, I didn't say sorry, but they understood the language of it. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? We ain't got
Okay.
no issues, you
Okay.
know.
All right. Now, relationships that you developed while in there, do you still have those relationships now?
Very much so.
Okay.
Those are that's my new circle of friends.
Okay. All right. Okay.
That's. I mean, I did 20 years with some of them.
Right.
Those are guys that I'm close to. That you know, I left some of the realest people behind them walls. Some of them are getting out now.
Okay.
You know, so it's coming together for a lot of us.
Right.
You know, and I just want to keep supporting them and just trying to figure out ways I can help, because my organization, that's what we're trying to focus on, just trying to help the guys that are coming home. Some of it comes out of my own pocket, because we don't get the funding. Like I said, we don't get the big funding that the organizations that don't do nothing but got the big names get. We don't get that, and they tell you they service 20,000 returning citizens. I wasn't 20,001.
Okay.
So, some of us slip through the cracks,
Okay.
and the ones that slip through the cracks that I know, I ain't gonna slip through the cracks with me. I'm gonna make sure that
That's good.
whatever I could provide and whatever I can do, if I could reach out to someone that I'm connected with through Yard Time and help them get a job, Corey-friendly job, then I want to do that. Some of the guys that's been out here for years doing the right thing that haven't even tried to seal their records. I just had a seminar for a record sealing thing, and where an agency's willing to help guys and girls seal their
Okay.
records for free.
Okay. Wow.
Through Yard Time. All you got to say is Yard Time sent you, and they're going to make sure that, they work with you in the sealing your Corey, so you can get that housing, so you can get that job.
Right.
That's what Yard Time's out here doing. We trying to change the narrative, and then starting with me. Like I said, I'm a formerly incarcerated inmate that haven't had anything given to me. I've earned it. Most of it, I took it. And that's when I say take, I mean I took advantage of an opportunity that was presented to me,
Good.
which was me getting my freedom back.
Now, how many people do you see that are actually taking the advantage of some of these services that are available?
Not a lot.
And why do you think?
Because a lot of them don't know about it.
Okay. Okay. So how do we get this information out? Because like I said, the best is yet to come. That's what the platform is for, is to educate, empower, and to be a resource. So how do we get this information out?
Once we can connect. Like they can get through you, they can get to me, you can get to me. If they need the resources you may be able to provide, I want to send them to you. Like I tell people, if we're not in the same area doing the same thing, there should be no reason for us not to collaborate.
Right.
But the city I come from is a bunch of crabs in the barrels that if you go up, they don't want you too far up. They're going to pull you down. They want you to do good enough just to see you do not better than them.
And why do you think that is?
Because we can't figure out how to come together. There used to be a theory in prison that, white guys, when they came into prison, they would all look out for each other. They'd welcome each other. Spanish guys, when they come in, they all welcome each other. Black guys, they want to know where you from before they want to help you.
And if you're not from the
Neighborhood they from, they ain't helping you.
do you see that out here as well?
That's exactly what's going on out here.
Okay. That's something that definitely needs to change.
Yeah, I'm going to change the narrative.
Okay. All right.
One day at a time, though.
And that's what it takes, one day at a time.
It does.
Yeah.
The best is yet to come.
There you go. I like that.
I
like
promise
that.
you.
Yes, yes. Let's talk about some other positive things that you all are doing.
So we right now we're in a position that we're about to host summer nights in the park.
Okay.
We're in the running for that. We're trying to get contracted by the state, and once a week to have cookouts, events, things going on through the summer, so we can give guys and girls, people, the youth and stuff, the opportunity to do things with their time. Then we have the father and daughter thing, the father and
I
daughter
want to
dance.
talk about that, yes. Where did you come up with that concept? I think that's great.
So a friend of mine's, Trey, he had reached out to me one day and said to me, yo, I got this thing I want to share with you, but I want to make sure that, when I share with you that you include me in it. And I'm like, well, what's that? And he shared it with me. And he was like, I had this idea for a father-daughter thing, dance, where it's formal, dress, and, things of that nature.
Keep talking, look at the door.
And, while we're doing that, so at the end of the day, we can continue on building our relationships with our kids and things like that. Because right now, I personally don't have the greatest relationship with my daughters,
Okay.
you know, and I want that. I want to have a great relationship with them. You
Okay.
know, they deserve it. I deserve it. And I think doing a father-daughter dance would be the beginning of that.
Okay. So are they
Not
gonna?
just for mines, but for a lot of dads and their daughters.
Right.
You know.
Now, how important do you feel a father and daughter's relationship is?
Um, I'm still learning
Okay.
because I was very close to my daughter, one of my daughters, when I was incarcerated. Like that was like very close with her,
Okay.
and it's unfortunate, man, because I came out and we can't figure it out.
But you all will.
We can't figure it out. I'm working on it hard. I'm working on it. I love my kids. You know, it's just like I told her, I have to figure me out. You know what I'm saying? I know I made a lot of promises to her while I was incarcerated, and she feels like I didn't keep them and I'm not doing the things that I told her I was going to do, and I'm doing. I tell people all the time, nobody don't know what I think, you know? And I can't always tell people what I think. And because I don't tell people what I think, because I'm not doing it, I'm not writing every single thing down on Facebook or something that I'm thinking, people always assuming things, you know, and I need for them not to do that, because when I wake up, I don't even know what I'm going to think about the next
Okay.
minute, you know. So I hate when people always say, oh, no, you don't know what I'm going to think,
Okay.
you know. And I just want my children to know, like, I love y'all to death. You know, I'm still trying to put it together. Just give me some time. You know, I still got it in mind. Like, it's still a plan, still a goal. I just got to continue building me.
Let me ask you this. Earlier, you talked about how you hold on to words. Perhaps that your daughter inherited that from you. Okay.
100%. I used to always say, you know, she used to make all my three-way calls.
Okay.
You know, so I mean, she heard all of it.
Okay.
You know, she heard it all. When I even told her I'm not gonna be here forever, I promise you, it's just taking a little while longer than I anticipated.
Right.
You know, once my lawyer told me I overturned my case, she was the first person I called.
So you all were close at one point.
Yeah, very
Okay.
close while I was incarcerated.
Okay.
Very close.
How old is she?
29.
Okay. Okay.
I have a 29-year-old and a 25-year-old.
Wow. Okay.
You know, we were very close. It's just unfortunate we can't. You know, she doesn't get the. I wasn't there. You know what I'm saying? And I'm like I told you, I don't know what love is because I didn't have it. I'm building it.
Okay.
You know, and I'm building self-love first.
Now, have you had these conversations with her so that she can?
Yeah, we had conversations, but you know, some conversations it gets heated. She's like me. Like she's literally like me. Like she's stubborn. You know, I'm very stubborn.
Okay.
So we butt heads, and once we butt heads, we both shut down.
Okay. Now, how easy is it for you to lead by example when,
It's
especially?
hard though.
Okay.
It's hard. I didn't have an example. I am the example.
Okay. Now, do you feel that the men's group, do you get support there?
Oh, very much so.
Okay.
Very much so. The brothers in that men's group are very much, they're fathers, they're entrepreneurs, they're great men, they're leaders, you know. And all I did was just bring us all together.
Okay.
You know, hence the whole thing of the community of yard time, you know, that like when I started it, I had the Guerrilla Logo.
I wanted to ask you about that. Why the Guerrilla Logo?
So the Guerrilla Logo was basically, it was formed because I had someone come visit me while I was in prison, and I reached out to him. This man knew me since I was a kid, and he was in a position to help me. And when he came to visit me, I thought he was going to help me, and he sat in my face and said, I can't help you. I ain't trying to be, I can't. And it crushed me.
Okay.
So when I went back to my cell, you know, they used to call, they show movies. So when I went back to my cell, the movie that was on TV was Planet of the Apes, Rise of the Apes. That's when Caesar was a little monkey. And when he was in jail, when he went inside the jail and the guy came to visit him and he wanted to leave, he kept saying home, home, home. And the guy was like, you can't go right now. He went back to his cell and just cried and thought of a way to get out of jail and thought of a way to, when he got out of there, when he got out of that situation, he united his community and brought all of them, apes and gorillas together.
Okay.
If you ever seen the movie. So when I got out, I always promised that I was going to try to, reunite my community, whether I don't care where you from.
Okay.
You don't have to be from my neighborhood, but if you want to be on the same things I'm on, then let's all come together.
Now, how many people from different communities, different neighborhoods have joined with you?
I mean, people come out and they support. They join me when I reach out to them. If they can, they will. We just, like I said, we're community liaisons. So
Okay.
if we doing something in the community, the brothers is going to come out to support, the sisters are going to come out to support, so that's the support is great. It's just, like I said, we do it for the love of it, but at the same time, that's hurting me. It's hurting my pockets. It's hurting me because I'm doing it,
Okay.
and I don't make sure, and nobody pays for anything when we do it. It's all free.
Now, have you had fundraisers?
No, I haven't.
Would you consider?
Yeah, I'm very much considering doing it.
Okay.
I want to consider doing a fundraiser for the men's retreat.
Okay.
And I'm also chasing a couple of grants that if we get, that's going to be, the men's retreat is written into that just in case the fundraiser don't go well.
Now, when do you know what the concept of the fundraiser would be? I mean, I know what it's for.
Yes. Well, right now it's in the early stage of it. So my community resource person, they're putting it together, and like I said, we built the actual skeleton of what the retreat would look like.
Okay.
So, and then we're gonna focus on it. I reached out to a couple of organizations to let them know what we're doing, see if their support. Well, like I said, if they don't, I'm going to continue to thrive all alone and continue to thrive with the people that support me.
Well, I have confidence and faith it definitely will happen because it's something that's needed.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, something that's needed. So let's go back to the father and daughter's dance. When is that, and where is it located at? And if we have someone in the audience that wanted to attend, what is the protocol?
Okay, so we just went and seen the location yesterday. My assistant went to go see the location yesterday. It's in the downtown area right now, so it's a nice little establishment. So we just want to make sure we secure it before we mention it.
All right.
The date is we only have a tentative date. We want to do it for Father's Day, but I don't want to, there's a big cookout that happens in the city of Boston on Father's Day, so I don't want to, collide with that.
Okay.
I want to continue to support that, but we're going to figure out a date that works for everybody that's going to get involved, and then we're going to have a pre-registration because we're trying to reach out to some organizations to get some gowns and some tuxes for men and women. I mean the kids.
Okay.
So. You don't have to be a little girl to come out. Like, I'm going to try to get one of my two daughters to come out. And
why not both?
Well, I would love for both of them, but I would love to see how that works. Sometimes, they double team me. It's hard to have them both together because then I know.
So you're looking out for you.
Yeah, yeah.
I got you.
Yeah, but I would hope so. I don't know. I'm hoping that they will both come out, and support and do this, and let's have a good time. But I'll let everybody know what the final dates and things are real soon.
Now, if one wanted to donate to this, because I think it's a great thing, how would they go about doing that?
Well, we have a donation button on Yard Time that we ask y'all to donate through the website and not through Facebook because through Facebook, whoever's been donating, we haven't been receiving those checks. We had to change our address and we can't get in touch with the Good Network through Facebook to change our address to where we are now on Newberry Street. Because when I started, I had it out in Worcester.
Okay.
So we just ask that you donate straight through the Yard Time Entertainment Inc. website and not through Facebook.
Can you give that information? I don't know if it's on the screen there, but can you give that information?
Yes. It's yardtimeent.org.
And is there a telephone number?
Yeah, my telephone number, 508-535-8827.
Okay.
And you can reach me at Joseph Bennett at yardtimeent.org.
That's great. Okay. I want to touch on, I know you are not the only person in your family that have been wrongfully accused of a situation. I'm sure you were pretty young when that occurred. Can we talk about that?
Yeah, I was 15. You talking about my Uncle Willie Bennett. Yes, the infamous hoax, Charles Stewart.
Right.
Yes, I was 15 years old. Young man trying to find my way in the city. And next thing I know, we was thrust into a police investigation of a lady that was, killed. And in that investigation, we were publicly ridiculed. So the case actually supposedly started because I told a friend of mine that my uncle killed her, and supposedly my uncle came in and showed us the gun. Now, my uncle would have been dead in jail by now if Matthew Stewart didn't have a change of heart. Because the police had these guys, people out on the street saying all of this about my uncle, had these guys saying that this about me. And, at 15 years old, I was in an interrogation room for 24 hours with no sleep, no lawyer. But I never implicated my uncle.
Right.
And what they did to our family was traumatizing to this day.
So that's some of the trauma that you were trying to work
That
through.
case killed my grandmother. My grandmother was 63 years young.
Wow.
She never got over that case. My uncle went to prison, not for that, but because of that, he went to jail. And then when he went to jail, and because I didn't lie and say my uncle killed him, I became their target. I started getting wrongfully accused of things.
I'm sorry to cut you, but once again, I have ran over. I'm going to have to invite you back. But before we wrap this up, I would like for you to leave some parting words with our audience.
Only thing I could say is that I would love for the people that don't know anything about formerly incarcerated men and women that are coming home. We come out here with plans and goals never to go back. And all we need is another opportunity, a second chance, as it was called, And some of us take advantage of those opportunities in a good way. Not all of us are bad. I was bad. Now I'm good. And that's what I want people to focus on, the good, not the bad. That was part of my past. I'm looking forward now. And people that are sitting in them jails, there's a lot of wrongfully convicted people. Odair Fernandez, some of the guys that are sitting in them jails need to come home. I'll just end with that.
Well, once again, this has been a great episode of The Best Is Yet to Come. We thank Mr. Bennett from Yard Time for sharing
Yard Time
this hour. We're over an hour with us, but in closing, as you know, I bid you peace, love, and blessings always, and the best is yet to come.
Thank you so much.
Oh, you're welcome.